Hey y'all, it's Betsy with Happily Ever After Etc. and welcome back to another garden video. So today we are talking all about one of my favorite plants, Gomphrena. I found out about Gomphrena 2 years ago from Laura with Garden Answer, of course, and she introduced me to Proven Winners Truffula Pink Gomphrena, which is the first type I planted, and I love it. It gets huge, almost 2 to 3 feet high, 2, 3, sometimes 4 feet wide. And in my zone 8B, it does come back. So I'll put some footage up on the screen of some of my moms that came back from last year that are already huge at the beginning of May. It is slightly ridiculous how big they are. Now I did have some come back in my garden, but mine are still smaller than mom's. I will show you right up front. And last year I did an entire video on interplanting them with my foxgloves. Foxgloves, of course, come up in the spring, and then Gomphrena really take off when it's hot outside. So when it starts to get that June weather, July weather, they explode. And so as the foxgloves die back, the Gomphrena come up. But while I love the Truffula Pink Gomphrena, this is my first year that I've tried any other types of Gomphrena. There are so many. So I actually planted some raspberry cream Gomphrena from Johnny's Seeds. And I will show you, they are over in the garden and they are getting huge. I am loving them. I don't know, like I said, this is my first year planting them, so I don't know how they will do compared to the Truffula Pink by the end of summer. But of the 5 milk jugs I planted, I was able to plant out 7 to 8 plants, and they have already filled in their whole little area. They have constant, really pretty, light pinkish kind of blooms. The main difference is the Truffula Pink, and I will show you, has kind of clusters of 2, 3, 4 flowers, whereas the other types of Gomphrena are more of one big pom-pom. So I just got some new ones. These 4, they are a carmine Gomphrena. And I'm going to plant these over behind my zinnias. So I have some 12-inch high zinnias that I needed a second layer behind. These are about as tall as these will get, but they will continue to get bigger and bushier. So I've got the raspberry cream. I'm planting these, which are, I would say these are more of a raspberry, and the raspberry are more of a light pink, maybe a lilac. I also have behind me a white Gomphrena that I planted in my white and salmony colored planter. So I'm going to give you an inside look on all the types of Gomphrena in my garden. We're going to put these in the ground, and hopefully that will just help you get a little idea of if Gomphrena is a good plant for you and if one of these varieties might be perfect for your garden. Next year, I'm really excited after growing my own of the raspberry from seed. I do think I'm going to do those again next year, and I would really like to do a whole bunch of the white Gomphrena as well. But seeing how well they're doing, I think I might do a whole bunch of colors. I could have easily grown these from seed, but you know, I didn't know how easy they'd be to grow from seed, and I didn't know if I'd prefer these to the Truffula Pink. I don't know if prefer is the right word. This packet of seeds that I bought from Johnny's, I believe, was $5, and I got 7, 8 plants. I still have more of that seed for next year. These particular plants were $3.99, so $4 for this plant. And the Truffula Pink Proven Winners Gomphrena are typically $9.99 to $10.99. So the question is, where do you get the most bang for your buck? Because that Truffula Pink plant is big and beautiful, but these also get big and beautiful. And what I think might be the kicker is that the Truffula Pink comes back in our zone. So, you know, to pay $10.99 versus $3.99 is a big price difference. But if these do not come back next year and the Truffula Pink do, well, I've now doubled my investment for next year, and that's not counting the years after. So if you're in a cold zone where your Gomphrena won't come back either way, then it's a little bit more of a moot point. Starting it from seed or buying established plants is still going to be less expensive. But in my zone, that Truffula Pink coming back, you know, that's a kicker. So stop yapping. Let's start showing you all the pretty plants. I'm gonna go ahead, let's go over and plant these first and foremost, get them in the ground, get them watered in, and then I will take you on a little Gomphrena tour of all the ones I have planted. Let's go. All right, so got our short little zinnias here. They are starting to grow together. And then I've got some lambs here. I've got some agapanthus that still have not bloomed, but they were divisions from my mom's house last year. And then I'm going to be doing the Gomphrena, this little swoop right here. So this is kind of a funny spot because I've got ranunculus corms planted here. So I don't want to put a perennial in this spot, something that will come back. I want those ranunculus corms to be able to grow and multiply, come up every spring and be beautiful. But now that they have died back to the ground, I do still want a plant here to be that second layer for the rest of the summer. These Gomphrena need to be planted. They are top heavy. So we're going to plant the 4 Gomphrena in between all of the ranunculus corms, and they should, you know, 4 plants, even though they are only 4, they should be big enough to really fill in this whole area, be a nice pretty backdrop for the zinnias. This is the very front of this bed, so I want it to be really pretty. I have some more perennials back here like this Veronica that's still growing and filling in, and then of course all of my lilies and foxgloves that are coming up still. The foxgloves are so late this season. So if you caught my ranunculus videos, probably I did a whole bunch of videos on planting those ranunculus corms. And of course I shared the ranunculus corms in my garden tours when they were flowering, but I'm going to try to put together a video start to finish on planting and flowering and all things ranunculus. So I think this should be a good solution. And since I don't want to mess up any ranunculus corms in this space, I'm not using my auger. I'm just gonna dig a hole, put these guys in. Shouldn't be that hard because I did work the soil when I planted those ranunculus corms. Give them some fertilizer and plant them in. There we go. It'll be fun to watch these guys grow. Really want the second one like right where the water is. Let's see if we can't move it up a smidge. So like with the foxgloves last year, I am essentially doing the same thing with these ranunculus. Gomphrena are a great annual to interplant with spring flowering plants. They get big the second half of the summer when they're heat activated. Fill in while leaving your spring flowers like your ranunculus or your foxgloves to grow and come back the next spring. Need a weed. So you can see here, 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 here. These are all where we cut back those ranunculus foliage as it died back. I left it in until it went brown, died back, and then I came in and really cut it back to the ground. And so that is where the ranunculus corms are going to be situated, and where I do not want to dig to plant my Gomphrena. Weed. I also have a lot of pansy babies because I had pansies here in the winter. All right, last spot. Even. All right, I will get these watered in, but they should grow and be really pretty right here as they fill in behind the zinnias. I had actually wanted white Gomphrena here, but could not find any. Next year we'll have to grow some. But those little airy puffballs should be a really fun texture right there. And they are a darker raspberry than the bubblegum here, but I was trying to compensate because last year I had almost no pink in this front garden bed, and so this year we've overcompensated and we have all pink. There are worse problems. All right, so next up we have our Truffula Pink. So these guys, you can see, are starting to really fill in right here. And here's the difference. And the main Gomphrena that I just showed you, these bloom heads are clusters of 4 or 5 little puffballs as opposed to the one puffball. So they are just giant blooms and they come out. And these guys, I mean, I could have planted like 1, 2, 3 plants here. This mama's got to move. But by the end of summer, this one Gomphrena will have filled in this entire space. Same with this one. So it's just a matter of waiting for them to fill in. Next, let's come down the way. And these are the raspberry cream Gomphrena that I planted from seed. Look how big they've gotten since we planted them. Now, these are like the ones we just planted. They are 1 puffball. But look, I will put some footage on the screen of when I planted them, how little they were and how big they are now. And you can see like this right here is 1 plant. This is 1 plant. I think that's a weed. Weeds, be gone. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants in this spot. And they are, you know, this is not even halfway through the season. So they are only going to get bigger and continue to fill in around these other plants. I just think they're so pretty. See what I mean? I'd call the other one raspberry. I'd call this like ballet slipper. Bubblegum. But we've got bubblegum in the Truffula Pink. So, and the Truffula Pink to me is a little more hot pink. Last but not least, we have up on the porch our white Gomphrena. It is a backdrop to this planter, which if you didn't see this guy planted, these cellulosa are not cellulosaine. Should have just done 2 Gompphrenas back here, but look how big this is one plant he's gotten. And he's only going to continue to get bigger. So there you go. I hope you liked this video. I hope you see why Gomphrena is one of my all-time favorite plants. I love the tall. I love anything in a puffball, you know, pincushion plants, Gomphrena, anything tall and spiky like foxglove, but these are all summer and they get huge. So I love them. I want to see how many colors I can grow them in next year, but I'm excited to see at the end of the summer a full comparison of how all 4 of these varieties do compared to one another. And even better, next year I want to see if any of these come back besides the Truffula Pink that should come back. So I will go ahead. I'm going to put a side by side 4-way split up on the screen so you can see all 4 compared to one another. And I will see y'all in the next video. If you want to go back and check out when I interplanted that Truffula Pink last year, I will leave it right here. I hope y'all had a good time. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.